Hace ya un tiempo, realicé un par de videos en este canal hablando sobre el caso Heaven's Gate, o Puerta del Cielo. En dichos videos, conocimos un poco de su historia, sus líderes, el fatal destino que varios miembros del grupo tuvieron en el mes de marzo de 1997, pero sobre todo, hice especial énfasis en la actualidad del grupo, ya que varios miembros no formaron parte de los tristes acontecimientos finales por diversos motivos. Siguiendo esta línea, continué con mi investigación y pude contactar con uno de estos miembros que abandonó el grupo un tiempo antes del fatídico desenlace del mismo. Sawyer, como se hace llamar, formó parte de Heaven's Gate por muchos años, y es muy común verlo en varios documentales que las grandes cadenas han realizado sobre este caso. Al contactar con él, le expresé mi deseo de entrevistarlo y obtuve una respuesta favorable, a pesar de su agenda apretada, puesto que se encontraba trabajando en un documental que la cadena NBC acaba de estrenar en estos días sobre Heaven's Gate. En este video conoceremos de primera mano información relevante sobre el caso Heaven's Gate contada por uno de sus miembros por varios años.
I first heard Bo and Peep, human vehicles named Marshall and Bonnie, speak at a meeting they gave in Walport, Oregon on September 14th, 1975. Even though I was quite open-minded, while at the same time rebellious against believing whatever I was told and not finding any interest in any religions or government, except for dabbling in various spiritual paths, everything they said made sense to me, even if I didn't know why it made sense to me. I was always in awe of Tiendo, and they constantly said things that made sense, yet also fascinated and challenged me. I was in the group for 19 years, from age 24 to 43. The idea was that there was a physical, many-membered evolutionary, not Darwinian, kingdom level above human, also known as the kingdom of God and the kingdom in the literal heavens, whose membership created the earth and all of its inhabitants to be in a school-like environment to potentially become fellow members. The process of becoming a member was called Human Individual Metamorphosis, HIM, which entailed separating from all our humanness to become a new creature, mentally and physically, that upon completion would result in working on spacecrafts that can be as large as planets like Pluto, giving other souls the same opportunity. Tiendo are the most recent souls who took over human vehicles, bodies, to provide the way to gain that membership. Jesus was the last one to provide the graduation requirements, but at that time, none of the students were ready to graduate. Bonnie's vehicle's death wasn't a total surprise, as she had her eye removed about 2 years before her vehicle's death from cancer. I can't say it was that difficult for me, as I wasn't attached to her vehicle in any way. Students didn't talk about such things among one another, so I don't know how others took it exactly. There were always dropouts, and there were some that Tiendo sent out of the group on several occasions over the years because they didn't think they had what it would take to complete the process. From From the start, I felt like my body would die during the mission, even though at the start Tiendo didn't think we would exit by our vehicles dying. Our vehicles don't have to die to go to heaven if we have completed the metamorphic changeover. Enoch, Moses, Elijah demonstrated this by leaving with their bodies. Jesus demonstrated how he had transformed his human vehicle into a next level vehicle that could heal itself in 3.5 days, and then by being able to defy gravity to enter a physical spacecraft. And that was hidden by a cloud cover. We first got a hint that we might lay down our bodies by our own hand as opposed to being killed by an irate human after we saw the Cocoon movie that was released 2 days after T left her human vehicle, which was June 19th, 1985. I was willing to exit by any means, but didn't look forward to dying. I had no reason to want to die, but I knew I would still exist thereafter. It was August of 1994 when Doe indicated to the entire group that we may have to take it upon our own hands to exit. A couple weeks later, Doe held a meeting and outlined the procedure of drinking a strong barbiturate mixture to put our vehicles to death in the gentlest way possible. And he asked the students one by one at that meeting if they had any reservations of taking that action. Some did, and they were arranged to leave the group. I had no reservations. I left in September of 1994. The full story surrounding what led up to my joining and what transpired that led to my leaving is posted on my blog in a document called Sawyer's Story. The partial explanation was that I had become dishonest in the application of the needed self-discipline with regards to conquering the human characteristic of sexuality. There were a number of lessons I hadn't learned, but the one that was the biggest problem for me resulted in my giving into sexuality with myself repeatedly. I was surprised, but not entirely, since I was there when we talked about that a number of times. No, absolutely no people were forced to leave their physical bodies, or even coerced, or brainwashed, or tricked into anything. Tiendo never needed to have students, yet they worked very hard to keep those that wanted to be their students. Safe to say, they were very unlike any other teachers or cult leaders I've ever heard of. Their legacy is in the abundance of their teachings that they left behind for us, as the human school is not over. Yes, I am still a believer in the Heaven's Gate doctrine. I never disbelieved in anything they taught, anything Tiendo taught. When I left, I became a spouse and a father, started a business that failed, and re-engaged my musicality until they left their vehicles. I was afraid to go to the press, but did. Then I began having dreams and premonitions and sightings of UFOs and spirits, and would get answers to my questions via dreams, and that helped me reawaken. I'm not anything special for having all those dreams, etc. I apparently needed them. So now I am full-time into sharing Tiendo's teachings as best I can.
Let's start at the very beginning. A very good place to start. When you sing
Lo que estás escuchando en estos momentos es una grabación musical realizada por los miembros de Heaven's Gate durante la última Navidad que compartieron en 1996. El audio fue tomado del canal de Sawyer, en donde muy a menudo realiza directos explicando detalles sobre Heaven's Gate. Actualmente, Sawyer se encuentra muy activo en redes sociales, teniendo perfiles en Facebook, Twitter y publicando constantemente en su blog personal, además de haber publicado un libro relacionado a la Puerta del Cielo, siempre aclarando su postura en contra del fatídico destino de sus antiguos compañeros y enfatizando que no desea ser maestro de nadie, pero que considera que debe dar a conocer todas las enseñanzas que le fueron dadas por Ti y Do. Suscríbete al canal para más contenido como este. No olvides seguirme en redes sociales. Los links los encontrarás en la descripción de este video. Además, no olvides activar la campana de notificaciones para estar al tanto de los nuevos estrenos del canal.